At her wedding, my stepdaughter walked right past me, gave her real dad the father-daughter dance, thanked him in her speech, and didn't acknowledge me once, not even a glance. I'm Adrian, and I raised Jade from age 8. Her bio dad Jeremy was barely around, missed birthdays, skipped graduations, but always found time to post Facebook photos when he did show up. I paid for her braces, college tuition, and yes, this entire wedding. $12,000 for the venue alone. Jade started calling Jeremy dad again once she got engaged, while I became Adrian to everyone. Let me paint you the full picture of how humiliating this day really was. I arrived at 6 a.m. to help set up. While Jeremy rolled up at noon in his flashy BMW with personalized plates, I'd already spent 6 hours arranging tables, testing the sound system, and coordinating with vendors who kept asking me technical questions Jeremy couldn't answer. Jade barely glanced my way. But when Jeremy walked in with his expensive cologne and fake tan, she squealed like a teenager meeting her favorite celebrity. During the ceremony, I sat in the third row. Behind Jeremy's new girlfriend Brittany and some random cousins Jade barely knew. The man who taught Jade to drive, who stayed up all night when she had pneumonia, who helped her write her college application essays, relegated to the cheap seats like a distant relative. When the officiant asked who gives this woman, Jeremy stood up proudly wearing the designer suit I'd helped Jade pick out for him online. I'd literally signed the checks that morning for the final catering payment. But sure, Jeremy gives her away. The father-daughter dance was torture. I watched Jeremy awkwardly spin around my little girl, yes, she'll always be my little girl, to their special song. The same song I used to play when I'd make her chocolate chip pancakes every Sunday morning for 10 straight years. Jeremy kept checking his watch during the dance. During speeches, Jade's maid of honor mentioned how grateful Jade was for her stepdad's generous financial support. Not love, not guidance, not sacrifice, financial support. Like I was a scholarship fund with feelings, not the man who drove 6 hours to bring her soup when she got food poisoning freshman year. Then came Jade's speech. A full 5 minutes about Jeremy's unconditional love and how blood is thicker than water and real family always finds its way back. She actually said that. To a room where half the guests knew Jeremy had missed her high school graduation for a golf tournament in Scottsdale and her college graduation for a fishing trip. But here's where it gets really rich. After the reception wound down, she cornered me by the gift table while I was stacking chairs. Her dress was wrinkled, makeup smudged from happy tears, but she had this calculated business-like look in her eyes. Adrian, she said, not dad, not even stepdad anymore. I need you to handle the final vendor payments tonight before we leave. The venue, DJ, photographer, and caterer all need their remaining balances settled before we fly out to Cabo tomorrow morning. She handed me a crumpled bill for $8,000. $8,000. On top of the $12,000 I'd already quietly paid without expecting gratitude. I figured you'd want to take care of this since you've been so incredibly generous throughout this whole process, she said, with that practiced fake sweet smile I'd seen her use on teachers when she wanted deadline extensions. Jeremy offered to help, but his money's tied up in some big investment opportunities right now. Of course it was. Jeremy's money was always tied up when actual responsibility knocked. I stared at that bill, then at her entitled little smirk, then across the room at Jeremy, already halfway out the door with Brittany, probably heading to some expensive after party. That's when something inside me finally snapped. I tore the bill clean in half, handed both pieces back to her, and said loud enough for the remaining wedding guests to hear, ask your real dad. You know, the one you spent all night thanking and crediting for everything. Her face transformed from smug confidence to pure panic in record time. Adrian, you can't be serious right now. The venue needs payment tonight or they'll put a lien on. Then I guess Jeremy better cancel those golf lessons and write a check for once. I turned and walked away while she frantically started calling Jeremy's phone. Spoiler alert, he didn't answer. He never did when money was involved. The venue manager found her 30 minutes later in the bathroom, demanding immediate payment and threatening legal action. Jade had to call her new mother-in-law at midnight, sobbing and explaining through tears why her real dad wasn't available to help and why her stepdad had suddenly abandoned her in her time of need. Sometimes the best lesson you can give someone is showing them the real difference between an ATM and a father. And sometimes walking away is the only way they'll finally understand which one you actually were all along.